Honourable Speaker, we have heard credible and troubling fears from the international community who have requested that we protect their identity to save them from retribution. International community have informed us that they have been threatened by the Minister of Labour and Immigration. The Labour Minister, the MLA for Notre Dame, told the provincial nominee program people that any protests on the failures of this NDP government would result in another 4-month suspension of draws under the MPNP. Freedom of peaceful assembly is a fundamental charter right, and violating that right through threats and intimidation by this NDP government is an absolute abuse of power and is wrong, Honourable Speaker. Will the Premier do the right thing and ask his failing, vindictive minister to resign?
Unbelievable.
The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. You just heard from our leader some deeply disturbing information. I'm going to table the correspondence I received, and I will keep my question brief and ask the Minister to inform the House on what day will the next draw be held for the international education stream and the skilled worker stream.
The Honourable Minister of Labour and Immigration.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to Member Opposite for your question. Currently, we are experiencing a huge backlog due to unprecedented levels of applications to our Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program, in part due to the cuts of the previous administration, and in part due to the federal government's very recent decision in December 2023 and January 2024 to suddenly not extend work permits anymore. Our department is diligently working to prioritize those who have already received their letters of advice to apply and prioritize those whose work permits are expiring. In addition to that, in February, and I continue to meet with the Federal Minister of Immigration.
First time has expired. The Honourable Member for Agassiz.
Honourable Speaker, can the Minister explain to the House how the frequency of draws is determined and who is responsible for making the decision of which draw to call and when?
The Honourable Minister of Labour and Immigration.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to members opposite for their concern about this very, very important priority that we have here as an NDP government regarding immigration and fulfilling our economic needs and productivity for our business community and filling the needs for our for all our communities, especially in rural and northern communities in Manitoba. Immigration is so important, and that's why in Budget 2024, our Finance Minister and Treasury Board allowed us to have a very high number of budgets so that we can have more people processing. Because of the previous PC government, they cut 1/3 of the processors in the previous department, and we are slowly building that back up.
Member's time has expired. The Honourable Member for Agassiz on a final supplementary question.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I have one final question for the Minister. Why did she threaten to interfere in the draws of the provincial nominee program to prohibit individuals from gathering peacefully here at the Manitoba Legislative Building? Today in the House, I tabled a letter sent by a group of hopeful newcomers to Manitoba. In this letter, these individuals shared that the Minister of Labour and Immigration threatened to intentionally delay and suspend draws as a consequence of continued protests at the Manitoba Legislature. In order to protect their identities, the letter has been heavily redacted. These individuals are extremely fearful of retribution by this NDP Labour Minister. We do not bring forward these accusations against the Labour Minister lightly. These are real, frightened individuals who are worried about their future here in Manitoba, and that it may be taken away from them. These individuals have already been struggling with delays to MPNP draws caused by changes put forward by the NDP, and the clock is ticking on their work permits. Delays mean that they may lose their chance to become a Manitoban. What the letter accuses the Labour Minister of doing is fundamentally wrong. It is a breach of Charter of Rights and an abuse of powers of office. We are calling for the Labour and Immigration Minister to immediately resign, and for the NDP to immediately call an independent investigation into the actions displayed by the Labour and Immigration Minister.